Before we get started coding HTML and CSS, we need to download a code editor. The one that I'm going to have you use in this class is Sublime Text. There are a lot of free code editors out there. It doesn't necessarily matter which one you use. Find one that you're comfortable with as far as formatting goes and use that. This will just be the one that I'm using for the class because it's free and easy. All you got to do is hit download, whether you're Mac or PC. You'll get a download file. I'm going to go ahead and download that. Click the zip file that comes down and it will unzip the text editor. Here's mine. I'm going to double click that. What happens when you double click this is you'll get a window that comes up. This one says it's from a third-party developer. That's okay. This is the code editing environment. It's really simple. There's not a lot here. It's a very simple, light interface. All of your tools and options are up top. We won't need many of those. But the first thing we're going to do before we get started doing any coding is to save out this document right out of the gate. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to name this something specific. So I'm going to choose a folder. I made a folder on my desktop. I would suggest you do this every time you design a site. You make a separate folder for it. It might help to keep all your weekly assignments in separate folders as well. I'm going to name this something really special, index.html. Notice this is all lowercase, all one word. This is really important. The first website that you make, and every website subsequently that you make, the homepage must always be named index.html. The server that you're going to put this on later on to get this thing to run on the internet is going to look for index.html as the name of your homepage. If you don't have something named that, your page just won't load. So go ahead and save that into the folder. .html is the extension. Hypertext markup language makes a web file. Hit save. Now this is a web document. There's not much to it, but this is our beginning web document. Now that I've got this saved out, I'm going to put in some basic tags that every HTML page needs. And I'll explain what tags are. This is the beginning of any web page, the HTML open tag. Now, when I say open tag, what does that mean? I'm going to go to enter down a couple lines here, and I'm going to put another tag. I'm just using the less than bracket /. Now, notice something happened here. I had just hit /, and my editor automatically completed this for me. That's because it's why we use a code editor for one. But for two, this shows an important property of web coding, open and close tags. Anytime you set up a document in HTML and you're doing some coding for it, doing some scripting languages, you usually will do a set of tags, Most tags that you use will have an open and a close component. And then the things you're trying to modify are sandwiched between those here. Okay, so I'm going to add some more tags to this page between my open and close tag. The next crucial tag we need is the title tag. Now, I want to show you something. I'm going to put a close title tag here. Tags can be written both of these ways. You can write tags with horizontal nature or vertical carriage returns. It doesn't really matter. I could put my title below here like this, or I could leave it on the same line. And hitting enter on your keyboard, carriage returns don't matter in HTML. The browsers don't read those. So either way is okay. Underneath this tag, which is kind of important that the next tag goes underneath the title tag, is the head tag. Now be careful, sometimes I hit / on that accidentally and just automatically completed my HTML. You gotta watch that. I'm gonna put a close head tag because this tag actually goes around the title tag. So the head tag surrounds the title tag. I wanted to just show you the title tag can be written. Mostly it's written like this, but the title tag goes inside the head tag. I wanted to kind of show you this way for a reason. The head tag is a tag that contains a lot of information about your HTML document. Inside this title tag, I can put some different text and things of that nature, which I'm going to do in a minute. And I just wrote it in this fashion so it picks it out apart a little bit so you can see the difference. What you can also do is hit tab on your keyboard to cascade these things. This is called a cascade. This is just an organizational scheme that you'll use sometimes designing your pages. Sometimes you can move these things around by hitting tab just to see the flow a little bit better. You don't necessarily have to do these things, but it helps a little bit to read it. All right, last tag we're going to put in here. The body tag, the most important tag. This tag is the tag that contains all of the stuff in your web page, essentially. Anything you put in this section, in the body section, will show up in the actual browser. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hit File, Save, and I'm going to add some text in here, because right now, this is an HTML document, and it will launch into a window, a browser window, but there's nothing in it. There's no content in it. So let's add some content first so we can see what's happening here. I'm just going to put my page title in the title section. This is what's going to show up in the browser tab up top. Let's just do something classic. Hello world for the body section. And I'm going to save that. File, save. Now, what you can do to test this, simplest way, go to wherever you've saved your index.html file and double click that. This will launch this in the default browser on your computer. A couple things have happened. Up top, you've got your title that we put inside. The title tag here shows up top in the tab. The text hello world that we've put inside the body section shows up here. It's that simple. To make a website, this is ready to launch and to drop onto a server on the internet. This is the very basics of making a simple page. Now, what you might want to do to experiment further with this is find a source, like in your book or online somewhere, of good HTML tags that you can experiment. I'm going to show you a good one. W3 Schools. W3 Schools is a pretty good place to find HTML and CSS reference. If you go to the tutorial section up top and do Learn HTML, there's a really great index on the left here of all kinds of different preset HTML stuff. So if you wanted to experiment and play around a little bit with, like, say, HTML color, you could click on that HTML colors link, and this will show you all kinds of different codes that you might be able to apply to copy and paste. We could just copy and paste something here into our document in the body section and see what happens. I'm going to save this and refresh my page, and bingo, check it out. We've got some different things happening here, which I'll explain later what these codes do. But this is the good place. W3 Schools is an excellent place for reference. I would go to the HTML introduction and read through some of the basic HTML stuff. This is what I've just done here with a little extra, which I'll explain next, about headings and paragraph tags, things of that nature. You've set up your basic code editor and you've added some basic HTML and saved out that page as index.html. We need to add some styling to the page. As we've seen, some of the basic H tags and simple HTML tags will help you style your website, but that only goes so far. What we need to start adding to these pieces are CSS, cascading styles, or cascading style sheets to help us control and further modify our HTML. There's actually several ways to do this, and I'm going to show you two of those ways here in this video. So what I've got is these H tags, H1s through H3s on the page, and a paragraph tag, all in the default font setup. I'm going to go ahead and style these and give you some options to style this stuff a little more effectively. The best way to do this, and the most effective, and I'm sure you'll find this from Googling, is with the style tag. Style equals quotation marks. This is how you style pretty much everything in CSS or in HTML, and it's actually a chunk of CSS that's been inserted into HTML. What we do is we will write an attribute and then a value. What does that mean? What are we trying to change here? For this H1 tag, this heading tag, I want to change the color of the font. For that, we write color, colon. The attribute that we want to change, and then colon to separate it from the value. The value will be red, and I'm going to terminate that with a semicolon. This is the way it's written pretty much every time. If I wanted to change the background color, I could write background dash color for the attribute. I could write green for the value. There's a whole slew of these attributes and values out there. There's a whole lot of things you can change on every tag. It's just a matter of Googling these and trying to figure out how many things are available in CSS to change, because this is actually CSS, cascading style sheets, a piece of web coding that allows us to go in and change this. Let's go ahead and see what happens here. If I denote this first H1 style to be color red, and I refresh my browser, notice what happens. That specific heading now changes to red. I can copy and paste this style tag and apply it to other headings. Say if I wanted this heading to be green, save, this heading to be blue, save, and refresh. Notice how all of those headings now reflect the values that I've plugged into my style tag. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing styles this way, and a lot of times when you're modifying websites, this is the best and easiest and quickest way to do it. But this isn't necessarily the most efficient way of doing this, especially if I have multiple instances of something on a page. I've got 3 instances of H tags on this page. Now, it's pretty rare for anyone to want to change heading tags to be different colors on the pages. Usually you'll pick a style and stick with it. And I'm going to go ahead and reflect that in this page and show you a different way of adding styles and colors to these things. I'm going to boil it back down to its basic H tag. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to change all 3 of these at the same time. I don't want to do it one at a time because, again, let's just say I'm working with a style guide of some sort. I've created a guide, and I know all of my headings need to be blue. All my H1s need to be blue. Let's say the H2s need to be green, and the H3s all need to be red. Okay. If I was going to do that the way I just showed you, I have to paste a style tag into every one of these instances of this H tag to get that change to happen, right? That'd be the way to do it. Okay, that's not very efficient. If I have 300 H tags, that's going to take a long time. What if I want to change those later on? That would take even longer. Instead, what we can do is I can go into the head of my document. As the last thing in the head of my document, before the close tag, I'm going to open an open style tag and then a close style tag. This is a cascading style sheet. It's an on-page style sheet. This is beautiful. What I can do here is I can now go in and write in H1 up top. Now I've added a set of curly brackets in here, and this is traditionally how you write write your CSS styles. Is you write whatever you target, whatever you're trying to change. Now notice if I highlight this too, it's also targeted every one of these H tags on the page, which is an important thing. The style tag, if I put a piece of HTML up here, it will look and reference. This is kind of like a little search engine type of deal. It'll search everything on this page, and it will find those H tags. And whatever I put inside these curly brackets, it'll then apply those properties to it, like a color attribute. If I now do color red inside curly brackets, inside my style tag, inside the head of my document, watch what happens. Refresh. Every H tag has now, H1 tag, which I've specified up here, has now turned red. Okay, let's just do all the H2 tags. H2, curly brackets, enter, color, blue. Save, refresh. Look how fast that is. H3, helps if you type properly. H3, open your curly brackets, color. Let's do something obvious, yellow. So now all of my headings have changed super quickly across the page. The plus of this is, again, if you can envision this and think of a full-scale website here. Let's say a client, again, looks at this and goes, you know what, again, these 300 H tags I've got across this page, let's just change these all to like violet. Save. It's that fast. Modifications are super quick. I can add multiple attributes to this, which is another wonderful thing here. Like, say if I want the background color to be, in this case, now this is going to be something pretty obvious here. I'm going to change that to red just so you can see it. Watch what happens. All of these H tags now have background colors. So the size of the font, the background color of the font, the location of this, there's all kinds of things that we will eventually control using CSS styles. So those are the 2 ways to do it. You've got your style equals tag, and you've got your on-page styles. And there's also an external style sheet, which we'll talk about. Important thing here, kind of last note on this. Check this out.
Okay. An important thing to know about these style tags is hierarchy. What I've done here is take one of my H tags and I've given it that inline style attribute that I first showed you. Important to know that inline style tags will always have a higher hierarchy, a higher predominance than an on-page style sheet. It's overridden what's going on here, which is awesome. You can set whole page styles. You can really set global styles with external style sheets for the whole website. I can override those with on-page styles, and then in single cases, I can override those with inline styles. So it's nice. You're not stuck with this. Anytime you want to change a single case, let's say you've got 100 styles on this page, H1s on this page, we change all of them to violet, but then in one specific case, the top one you want black, boom, you do it with an inline style. It creates versatility and makes things easy to change, makes them quick to change. You can target whatever you want. That's the beginnings of CSS.